Hey everybody, welcome back into week 16 of Between the 20s when we're going over the start sit that we have for the fantasy championship this week. Everyone's excited. For some people, it's week one of two. For some weeks, for some guys, it's week two of those 2 week matchups. For others, just the 1 week. But we're here with all your fantasy advice that you're going to need to win that trophy. Amer, Mike, how are you guys doing? How are these fantasy teams looking?
I am looking good. I'm in my finals. About to start the second week of a 2 week matchup. I'm up by a little bit, so hopefully I can get this win. But yeah,
Which league is this?
this is my small league, my 6 team league. That's it.
Well, I shouldn't talk much. I got eliminated
Yes, you did,
in
Michael.
both leagues. It was a very rough week. Both leagues. Dalvin Cook, I had him in both leagues. Got hurt in both leagues, obviously. Um, and went up against two buzzsaws. So really didn't work out well for me. But what can I say? Playing for third place now. Rough place to be, but such is life. How about you, B?
I'm all right. I got knocked out of the first round in two of my leagues, but you guys know I'm in this one weird league that the playoffs are the actual playoffs when you redraft. In this one, I tragic loss last week. I'm now in a dogfight for the fourth spot in the playoffs. There are four teams at 8-6, winner take all.
Oh
It's
man,
it's gonna be crazy. I need this win.
Wow.
And
And
I
that's
too
the
might
fourth
have
seed.
Dalvin Cook.
Only four teams make the playoffs?
Yeah, 10-team league. Went down
Okay.
from 12 to 10 this year,
Okay.
so we reduced it. But
But still almost twice as large as Amer's league.
almost,
nearly
just
there.
almost.
uh, but sounds like we, for the most part, have some dogs left in the fight, depending on who's out there. But before we get going, I do want to do a quick PSA. As you guys know, if you've been listening so far to these podcasts, we also have an Instagram and a Twitter page at Between Twenties on Twitter and at Between the Twenties on Instagram. Please go and like us, follow us, look at the posts. We let you know when all the new videos are coming out. And as always, we're here with some fun fantasy football stuff and some fun sports stuff, as always. So go to Instagram, go to Twitter, and of course, on this video, drop a like, drop a comment, let us know what you think, as always. So, quick PSA for any of those of you that listen that don't follow us yet on social media, we do have Instagram and Twitter. Links are on the video. So, without further ado, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we have 4 questions coming at you. The way this works, as always, we have listeners submitted questions, and it's going to be a start sit. So it's 2-3 guys, and we're going to go through and tell you who our picks are. And we're starting with a 10-team standard at the wide receiver position. DJ Moore, who's been a fantasy stud, but this is standard, going up against Indianapolis with Will Greer under center this week, or DK Metcalf out in Seattle, going up against the poor Arizona defense. He did score last week. I'm going to kick it to you first. DJ Moore or DK Metcalf?
Yeah, this is a tough question, especially because DJ Moore's been so good this season. He's top 5 in receiving yards overall in the NFL. And that was with Kyle Allen, who's not a great quarterback. But I think moving to Will Greer, it's tough to go with him this week, especially in such a big time matchup right here. Indy doesn't have a terrible defense as well, and so I don't think I can trust the quarterback in this case. So I'm actually going to roll with DK Metcalf, even though he is the inferior talent in terms of the wide receiver position. But I can't really get past the quarterback. Russell Wilson is just so much better than Will Greer, obviously, and Kyle Allen. So I'm going to roll with DK Metcalf against a good matchup again in Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. I'm going to go with DJ Moore, even in a standard league. I mean, I just think Moore is the higher upside pick for sure. He's going to get more touches, I think, which doesn't necessarily help you in a standard league, but he will get you those yards, in my opinion, at least. I don't know if you can always trust DK Metcalf to get into the end zone here. They are going up against Arizona, which isn't the worst defense, and Indianapolis is a pretty good defense that Moore is going up against. But I still like the fact that he's the wide receiver 1 option out there in Carolina.
Mike, you're right. Arizona's not the worst defense. They're actually ranked 31st. So not the worst. Good call there. I love when I get to be the tiebreaker between you guys. And I'm also going to be a little more unconventional, Amer, and I'm going to take DK Metcalf with you. Um, I went to one of the Panthers preseason games when I was down in Charlotte this summer,
This
and
doesn't make you
I,
accomplished.
I got well, I got to see Will Grier firsthand. He was not good
Oh
at
man.
all, and that was a preseason game. It was against the Bills, but the Bills' second string guys. He looked awful. I didn't like what I saw at all. I have no confidence in Will Grier. I think they're just going to ride Christian McCaffrey into the ground in this game against Indianapolis. And of course, you have a decent secondary with the Colts. Pierre Desir is going to be draped over DJ Moore. So it's going to be an interesting game for the Panthers. In the game that now, because the Colts got destroyed by the Saints on Monday night, now this game doesn't matter. Both teams are out of the playoffs, at least for Seattle and Arizona. Seattle's still fighting, particularly fighting with San Francisco for a bye, playing a brutal defense. They're going to throw. I like DK to hit the end zone this week.
Hold up a second. Indianapolis is the 23rd ranked defense for against fantasy receivers, and Arizona is the 24th there, Bryce.
Oh, 24.
Versus 23.
Oh man.
Well, they're Arizona's 31st in the league.
In what?
At the most recent, just overall defense, as for the most recent stat that I saw.
Yeah, Arizona has a poor
I could be
defense. No
working
doubting that Arizona has a poor defense.
I could be working with some stale data, but just the eye test is they're bad.
Yeah.
They're not a good team defensively anyway.
Oh, that's
All right, so 2 out of the 3 of us going unconventional, taking DK Metcalf over DJ Moore. Michael going with DJ Moore there. Moving now into the 12-team PPR question, and I like this one, guys. I like this one a lot. Coming in with the first, we have Greg Ward going into Dallas. I never thought I'd see Greg Ward on any of these questions. Former quarterback playing with the Eagles, Alshon Jeffrey out. Nelson Aguilar out. Who is Carson Wentz going to throw to? Perhaps it's Greg Ward. Deebo Samuel, Mr. Touchdown, Mr. Everything for the 49ers going up against the Rams. Or Mike's Rookie of the Year, Marquise Brown, going up against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. This is just to pick one for a wide receiver. We'll start with Mike. What are you feeling here?
Yeah, it's a tough question. All these defenses are pretty good. Dallas is actually slightly better. They're the 9th ranked defense, whereas the Cleveland Browns are the 14th, and the Rams are the 15th ranked defense here against opposing wide receivers in fantasy. But, I mean, it's really a question about injury opportunity. I think Marquise Brown is your high upside guy here if the Ravens decide to go with some deep plays. But, I mean, I can't be totally confident in Brown because he does have some weeks where he's just totally bad. Last 3 weeks, for example, 1.1 points against San Francisco. That's understandable, good defense. Against Buffalo, 3 points. Also somewhat understandable. Buffalo's a tough defense as well. But then even against the Jets, maxing out at 14.5 points. So not a great last 3 weeks here for Marquise Brown. Therefore, as Shark Tank would say, he is out for me. Or I'm out on Marquise Brown. So it comes down to Deebo Samuel versus Greg Ward. Deebo Samuel going up against those Rams. Greg Ward going up against Dallas. It's a tough question, to be honest. Very tough, but I'm going to side with Deebo Samuel, who's been doing it all for the Niners. I like Deebo. I think he's a good option this week. The Rams defense isn't really great, as I talked about, and in 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's put up more than 14 points.
Okay, I can't say I agree with you, Mike. Starting with Greg Ward, I don't think I can justify anyone starting Greg Ward, especially in the finals. He's had one good week, but I can't see that happening. It's the finals, man. You can't get cute with it. You got to stick to the guys that got you there, and Greg Ward is definitely not one of them. So I am not rolling with Greg Ward. Also, Dallas has a pretty good defense this year, and they kind of shut down the Eagles the first time they played. So I don't see Greg Ward doing much, if anything, this weekend. And so that'll bring it down to Deebo Samuel versus Marquise Brown. And I think this just comes down to the matchup for me. Deebo Samuel is going to be drawing that Jalen Ramsey shadow, who is, no matter what you want to say about Jalen Ramsey, he's a top 3 cornerback in the NFL. So I don't think I'm going to roll.
Yeah, it really helped shut down the Cowboys last week.
Hey, they didn't win on through the air. They definitely won on the ground, and that is not what Jalen Ramsey defends. So I'm gonna roll with. And Debo Samuel's not running back last time I checked. So I'm gonna roll with Marquise Brown. Cleveland has been atrocious this season, especially on the defensive side. You saw what Arizona did to them last week. So I'm gonna roll with Marquise Brown over Debo Samuel and Greg Ward.
Amr, you
Goes
hit the
back to
nail
our
on the head.
tiebreaker. Uh-oh.
Amr, you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about Greg Ward. I can't start him. The Eagles are trying to throw away the division. I don't know what this is. I can't justify playing Greg Ward when I absolutely know I have better options with these other two, or really anyone in the league. If you're looking at your pickups too, a guy like Rashad Perriman, I'd go after him instead of Greg Ward in your
100%.
waivers. We'll get to it, but Chris Godwin and Mike Evans both out for the year. So Greg Ward is immediately stroke. We're going to immediately strike Greg Ward from the list.
He's been
So then
stroking.
it comes down to Debo Samuel. I've been out of school for too long. Debo Samuel and Marquise Brown. And for me, they're pretty similar types of players. Speed guys, running deeper routes, low targets overall. But I'm going to lean here Debo Samuel.
Oh, man.
Now, you guys might say it's a Raven bias that I have.
It is.
But I'm gonna,
Lamar Jackson bias, not Ravens, just Lamar.
I'm going to try to back this up.
Jackson's not a quarterback.
I'm going to try to back this up with some stats here. All right? Since
All
week
of Baltimore will
9,
be cheering as he raises the Lombardi Trophy, and somewhere Brad's will be like, he's not a quarterback.
since week 9, all right, Marquise Brown has only seen more than 4 targets once, and that was in week 11 against the Rams. Debo Samuel, in that same stretch, has seen more than 7 targets. Has seen more than 7 targets 4 times. 7 or more targets, I should say, 4 times. Weeks 9, 10, 11, and 14. Not to mention, the 49ers are 1-2 in their last 3, right? 2 of their losses came against Baltimore and then Atlanta.
Yep.
In those 2 losses, Debo Samuel, 4 targets, 3 targets respectively, and then the win against the Saints, 8 targets. Now, that was a shootout, different kind of game script, but I think there's a formula there, and Kyle Shanahan is very much known to make his offense tick with innovation, and I think he's going to look at these stats and look at these trends and go to Debo Samuel more often, try to use him more as a gadget player coming up here against the Rams in a division game. This is big. So I'm going to lean Debo Samuel. I just like the upside here that he brings to the table in the PPR league.
All right. Looks like I'm alone on this one.
Gotta love it.
Now,
Brave New World.
Now, Brave New World. Now for question 3, and this is a 10-team standard, but of course, it wouldn't be our last start sit without the inclusion of a pick 2
Yes, sir.
question. Our favorite kind of question. And this one's extra special, boys, because this is a pick 2 question with 3 startable running backs. We're not talking about the Tony Pollard and Naheem Hines questions here. We're talking about real running backs.
Oh, man.
We're going to start with Devontae Freeman in a fantastic matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Newly minted starter off the injured list. James Conner against the Jets. Very good rush defense, but in limited touches, 55 yards and a touchdown last week. Or, and it's crazy that he's here, but Dalvin Cook. This is a very, very intriguing question because, of course, Dalvin Cook left his game against the Chargers in the 3rd quarter with a shoulder injury. He is questionable, but playing on Monday night. There's a lot of layers to this. It's a pick 2 in a standard league. Amir, which 2 are you going with? Freeman, Connor, and Cook.
Yeah, this is a brutal question. This is a really tough question for us to answer, but it's actually not too bad of a position to be in from a fantasy owner's perspective. I think for me, the guy that you got to start this week out of these 3 at the top is going to be James Conner against the Jets. They have a solid run defense, but I think he looked really good against the Bills. If you just watch that game, he passed the eye test with flying colors. Even against that tough Bills defense. So I liked what I saw from James Conner, and so I'm going to have to roll him out again this week for me. And then between Dalvin Cook and Devontae Freeman, it all really depends on what you're hearing out of the Minnesota with Dalvin Cook, if he's playing, then you obviously have to start him. He's the second best running back in fantasy so far. And if he's playing, then roll him out. But if you hear that maybe he doesn't practice on Friday, if he doesn't practice Thursday, Friday, if he doesn't practice at all this week, I think it might be tough to to play him and to risk having him not play at all, especially if you don't have one of his backups, Mike Boone or Alexander Madison. So I think monitoring the situation is the best way to go. But it looks like he's trending towards playing, so I'm going to pick Dalvin Cook to play, which means I'm going to obviously pick him alongside, as I said, James Conner. So I'm rolling with Dalvin Cook and James Conner for this question. If, of course, Dalvin Cook doesn't play, then obviously maybe look for his backup on the waiver wire, whether that be Mike Boone or Alexander Madison, which I mentioned. If they're not, then Devontae Freeman's still a good option this week against the Jags.
Yeah, tough question. It is a tough question. I agree. I'm not as thrilled about playing James Conner as Amer is, that's for sure. Oh boy, we have a snow squall warning here. With sudden whiteouts and icy roads, slow down, according to the National Weather Service.
That sounds like a running game.
Geez, this is one of those questions that is very difficult to say definitively right now. First, I'm going to start off by echoing all of the things that Amer said about Dalvin Cook. Monitor the situation. If he starts and if he's announced to start by Saturday, you're definitely playing Dalvin Cook here. Okay, he's the number 2 running back. You can't go into your fantasy playoffs, into your fantasy championship, I should say, not starting Dalvin Cook, who basically got you there. That's tough. But if he isn't announced to start, I'd definitely play one of the 2 other guys. As a matter of fact, if they say that he's going to be on a snap count, I'm going to go with the other 2 guys. But with that in mind, I will follow Amer's logic and pick James Conner as the other one here. Devontae Freeman is the odd man out in the event that Dalvin Cook is not revealed to be is revealed not to play. Devonta Freeman, as long as Dalvin Cook does not play or is limited in the game. But and also just a little note out there is that the Falcons they struggle to put 2 good weeks in a row. So I also think that's a factor going in here.
You guys have pretty much said everything. So before diving into my take, I do want to ask you guys one question. Let's say the Vikings immediately, we'll say immediately here, and let's say Friday, they rule out Dalvin Cook. He's not going to play on Monday. All right? And let's say Mike Boone is on the waiver wire because Alexander Madison is also questionable, and he's trending towards not playing. So let's say both Alexander Madison and Dalvin Cook are both out. Okay? So Mike Boone is the starter. Would you start Mike Boone?
Absolutely not.
I absolutely would. 100% I would take him over Devontae Freeman.
Are you serious?
100%.
Are you serious? You're playing your fantasy championship on the shoulders of Mike Boone?
Both Mike Boone and Alexander Madison.
Ward, you immediately
should they play? Should one of them play and Dalvin Cook is not in, I'm playing both of those guys over Devontae Freeman this week. 100%.
Are you serious?
This is why I want to ask this question. Because Amer, I agree with you. He looked really.
Oh, you guys gotta go. Are you serious? This is baloney. My word.
Mike, you're talking about a top 5 rushing offense in the league, and that's
a top 5 rushing offense when they have the second best rusher rushing.
Look, Green Bay is 26th against the run.
Have you looked at what Alexander Madison has done? Alexander Madison's he's a solid football player.
Yes,
he's not
nothing.
What do you mean nothing? He's played so
when
well.
He's gotten the opportunities, he's played very well.
Very,
very well. I'm hearing? You know what I'm hearing here? I'm hearing a passing down situation.
What? No. You obviously haven't been watching Vikings games.
That's why
I was too busy cheering on the Giants this week.
Amer, I agree with you. I would start Mike Boone.
This is absurd. For 2 guys that just totally outcast Greg Ward the last question, this is
a
absurd.
Different kind of player. A different kind of player.
This is absurd. You guys literally just your answers for the last one should be voided.
Mike, are you ready? Are you ready for this one little tidbit for you?
Oh boy,
Mike Boone,
I can't wait.
Mike Boone, if Madison and Cook are both out, Mike Boone's the only running back. And you know what that means, Mike?
Guaranteed touches, Mike. That's your line.
Michael, that's going to be 17 carries for him. 17.
And this is a must-win game for the Vikings. They're going to be pulling out all the stops here.
And they're playing a bottom 5, bottom 10 rush defense.
They're 26th against the rush in terms of fantasy points allowed. Jacksonville's also terrible. They're 31st. So that's a plus for Devontae Freeman. But I can't trust Devontae Freeman anymore this season. And what we saw from Mike Boone against the Chargers was a lot of good stuff. So I'm saying I'm rolling with Mike Boone here.
Yep, but I wanted to get that out
My
there
prediction
because Madison's not going to play. Madison is trending towards not playing either.
Adam Thielen reemerges as a viable target. Stephon Diggs goes off, and they shy away from the running game.
That could very well happen. It
Mark
could
my
happen.
words. This Green Bay defense is not particularly good.
And they're the
Mark my
worst
words.
against the run, not the pass, but that's okay.
Like they still have guys like Blake Martinez is a good cover linebacker, Jair Alexander is spectacular, Adrian Amos.
In terms of fantasy points allowed, Green Bay
Very
allows more points to running backs than wide receivers. They're 12th against wide receivers, and like I said, 26th against running backs. So
Thank you.
we'll see how about that prediction, Mike.
This one's going to blow up in your face. Well, Dalvin Cook's going to play, so it really shouldn't matter.
I hope you're right, Mike. I really hope you're right.
I hope you're right too, because just to round this out, I'm going to agree with you, or really both of you guys, where it's James Conner's the lock. If Dalvin Cook plays, you must play him. But I wanted to throw that wrinkle in there because I would start Mike Boone over Devontae Freeman. But if Alexander Madison and Mike Boone are both playing, I would not start either one. I don't know what the snap's going to look like. So if they're both playing, I'll play Devontae Freeman. So this is we talk about qualifying a lot, and this is qualifying the statement.
That's interesting because
who's the fourth string? Would you start him over Devontae Freeman?
No, because Mike Ham's the fullback, but Mike Boone's totally healthy,
and he's a good football player. Oh, sorry, it's Amir Abdullah.
Oh, that's right.
And Mike, I'm going to tell you with complete certainty that Amir Abdullah is not going to eclipse 5 carries as the running back too. The Lions tried to make him running back 1 in their system, and it did not work. I know because I drafted him every year.
Oh, man.
So after that spirited debate, it seems as though we've landed on Connor as a definite, Cook if he plays, and then some fun debate on Cook's backups or Devontae Freeman in extenuating circumstances. But sadly, it's now time for our final question, not only of this Start Sit, but of Start Sit for the year. Because Week 17 isn't a big fantasy week, so we won't be doing it next week. For our final Start Sit question, and I'm so happy we're doing this one because this is our bread and butter, guys. This is going to be a running back
versus wide receiver
in the flex, where one guy is an upstart and one guy's a waiver pickup in a pass-heavy offense. Oh, I love this. Oh, and a quick PSA. Both of these guys, it's Week 16. Both of these guys play on Saturday. So you need to get your picks locked in here Saturday morning or Friday night. Because Brashad Perriman and the now the number 1 receiver in Tampa Bay are playing the Houston Texans. And there's one thing that we do know about the Texans defense. It's that it's not good. And, of course, one of my favorite guys, I think it's our favorite guys, Devin Singletary, who's been playing extremely well for the Buffalo Bills as their running back. But he's playing the New England Patriots. And that's one thing that we do know about that team is that their defense is very, very, very good. So we have guaranteed touches versus somewhat of a question mark in a high-volume offense for receivers. Mike, Perriman or Singletary? I think I know who you're going to say, but I'm interested.
I'm going Devin Singletary, my man.
I knew it.
I can't go Brashad.
I knew it.
Brashad Perriman over Devin Singletary.
Oh, man.
Definitely Singletary. Even though it's a tough defense, no way I'm starting Perriman in my fantasy championship if I was this individual.
That's it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. That's
okay. All right. Hey,
he's that
sure about it. Okay, well, Mike, you know what? I got to disagree with you again.
Of course. Your Greg Ward answer, by the way, just makes no sense. In the context of your answers, the last 2 questions,
no, it does not.
It is awful.
No.
It is awful.
Different players.
These are completely different players.
You can't let your fantasy season ride on a guy that you just picked up, although I will in the next 2 questions.
That's not what I said. I said you can't let it rest on this guy that you just picked up. So, just for context, Brashad Perriman past 3 weeks has eclipsed 10 points in half PPR leagues. He had 3 touchdowns last week when Mike Evans was not there, and without Chris Godwin as well. They are both not going to be here this week for Week 16, and that means that Jameis Winston, the NFL leading passer in terms of yards and second leader in terms of touchdown passes, needs somebody to throw to. As we all know, it's not going to be O.J. Howard. Hashtag sorry, Bryce. It's going to be Brashad Perryman this week. I think he's got insane upside. He could win you your championship this week. He could be the reason you win the ship. And so I'm going to roll with Brashad Perryman this week against a terrible Houston Texans
And a lot of
defense.
ranking sites, actually. O.J. Howard has eclipsed, I think, definitely top 12 tight end for this week.
No way. Maybe it's because they're playing Houston. Maybe it's because they have no more receivers. But, we talk about this a lot, and I know off the air, Amer, you and I in particular have talked about this. League winners. Who's going to win a league? We thought it was going to be Darius Geis. Darius Geis went off and got hurt again.
He said the two of us. He wasn't talking about you, Mike. Get out of here. Mike's a Darius Geis hater for no reason.
Well, we talked about Darius Geis. He unfortunately went and got hurt. So if you want to talk about league winners, it's Brashad Perriman. I mean, last week, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. We know they're going to have to throw. Houston's offense is great with Deshaun Watson. Houston's defense is brutal. So they're going to throw. Jameis Winston threw for 450 yards, several touchdowns, 3 of which went to Brashad Perriman. There is no top cover corner on the Texans defense. This guy's going to be able to run free in a game where Jameis Winston might throw the ball 60 times. Like, I don't know. They could just score on one play, both teams every time. So this is going to be a fun game to watch this Saturday. I love Devin Singletary. He was my number 1 sleeper coming into the year. I'm really happy that he's getting the ball. The New England defense is way too good. Yes, they're a little more susceptible to the run than the pass.
You're forgetting a crucial
element. It's the New
element.
England defense. I have to play Brashad Perriman. Which is
the league is onto
touches.
The Pats sign stealing. Or they're onto, yeah, exactly.
We're not going to get into this.
Yeah, they're onto
Astros?
it. They tried against the Bengals. They were accused of it. The league reviewed the footage. They realized they can't do it this week against the Bills.
Mike, if you wanted your real solid argument, for Devin Singletary, it's that the one deficiency that the Patriots have on defense is their run defense. And obviously, Devin Singletary is a running back. He's going to get 18 to 20 touches. So that should be your argument. My argument is Brashad Perriman's going to win you your league this week.
Yep, it's the same one I have. Not to mention, there's almost the Bills are in. With the win last week, the Bills are in. And there's almost no way they can eclipse the Patriots because the Patriots need to lose to the Bills this week and
lose to Miami.
Some way, lose to Miami next week. This is almost a meaningless game because both teams are effectively locked into what they have. If anything, it means more for the Patriots who are trying to get a bye. So who knows what this is going to look like? Maybe they protect Devin Singletary for the playoffs. I don't know. But what I do know is that Tampa Bay is going to have to throw a lot, and Brashad Perriman
meaningful game for Tampa,
is going to get a lot of those targets. Well,
Jameis throws for 1,000 yards no matter what game it is, Mike.
Jameis is playing for his job.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of crazy to say after the fact that he's the leading passer in the league, but
he also has 24 interceptions this year.
He might be the first quarterback to ever lead the league in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and passing interceptions.
Might be. He's significantly ahead of number 2 Phillip Rivers. He's 6 ahead with 2 games to spare.
It's not even close. He's going to lead the league in yards and interceptions for sure. It's just a matter if he can catch Lamar Jackson. I think he's only behind Lamar.
He's
by
behind
1 or 2.
Lamar Jackson by 3 touchdowns. And if Lamar Jackson's benched in Week 17, which would happen if the Ravens beat the Browns this week, then Jameis Winston definitely has a chance to take that touchdown lead.
Yeah, they could definitely do it. So, it looks like we're going to get some work out of Brashad Perriman, hopefully. And again, that's this Saturday.
Yeah. Because we're going to win our league, Mike.
Oh, boy.
All right. Well, that's it for us here on Between the 20s. We hope you've enjoyed all the start sits that we've done since week 1 of this season. We've certainly enjoyed doing them. But don't fear, there's more fantasy football to come. We'll do a bunch of recaps of the season as we get into the new year in 2020. But for now, remember, please drop a like, drop a comment on this video. Go and follow us, Twitter, Instagram. Gave you the handles at the beginning too. It's at Between 20s on Twitter and at Between the 20s on Instagram. Please go and give us a shout out. We would really, really appreciate it. We're here for all you guys. So for Mike, Amer, and Bryce, this has been Between the 20s, and we will see you next time.